Welcome to Beyond the Alien Eyes, your home for heartfelt HFY Sci-Fi stories. Subscribe, hit the bell, and join our growing community of fans who believe the greatest power in the universe is the human heart. Thank you for watching, and welcome to the galaxy through eyes you've never seen before. The laughing room Rayn Carter stood alone in the center of the training arena. Around him, alien students laughed, their strange faces twisted in amusement. One had purple skin and 3 eyes, another had wings instead of arms. They were all stronger, faster and smarter than him, or so they believed. Look at the human. He can't even hold a training spear. A tall green alien shouted, slapping his knee. Rayn picked up the weapon again. His hands were shaking. His body ached from the last match. He had already lost 5 times today. He tried to focus. He knew the moves. He had practiced them every night. But still, when the sparring started again, the alien opponent knocked him down in 1 hit. The spear flew out of his hand and clattered across the metal floor. The crowd roared with laughter. Go home, Earthling. Humans belong in zoos. Maybe he can be our janitor. Rayn didn't say anything. He got up, his lip bleeding, and walked out of the arena with his head down. The academy on planet Xeron was supposed to be a place of greatness. The best warriors from across the galaxy trained here. Rayn had dreamed of coming ever since he saw the Galactic defense broadcast as a child. He believed he could prove that humans were strong too. But ever since he arrived, he was treated like a joke. The dorms were designed for creatures twice his size. The food made his stomach twist. The lessons were in alien languages he had to translate in real time. And the physical training? It was torture. He often ate alone. He kept his head down. But inside, something burned. I will not quit, he whispered to himself that night. I will make them see. That evening, as Rayn walked through the cold metal halls of the academy, he passed the old maintenance wing. It was dark, dusty, and rarely used. Inside, he saw the only person who didn't mock him, Griven, an old alien janitor with robotic arms and tired eyes. You look like you lost another battle, Griven said with a raspy chuckle. Rayn smiled weakly, more like I lost my bones. Griven turned off his cleaning drone and waved Rayn over. Come sit, I'll tell you a story. Rayn sat on a crate. He needed a break. His whole body hurt. Griven looked around to make sure no one was listening, then he leaned in close. Long ago, before this academy was built, Griven whispered, this land was part of a battlefield. One of the oldest wars in the galaxy was fought here. And below us, hidden deep in the stone, is a ship. A ship? Rayn asked, curious. Yes, a forgotten warship. Not built by any species that live today. They called themselves the Ancients. It said their technology was so powerful, it scared even the stars. Rayn raised an eyebrow. And the armor? Griven nodded slowly. The last warrior of the Ancients locked his armor inside that ship. It chooses its wearer. No one has ever found it. Many have tried. But maybe they weren't the right ones. Rayn laughed softly. Why tell me this? Griven looked at him with strange, glowing eyes. Because you're different. The others are loud, proud. You are quiet, and you endure. That matters. Rayn felt something strange in his chest. Was it hope? That night he couldn't sleep. Griven's words echoed in his mind. What if the story was true? What if the armor really existed? He pulled out his datapad and began searching. Old maps, blueprints of the academy, construction records. There was a section marked as restricted caverns far below the base. His heart pounded. At midnight, he packed his small bag, just a light, a tool knife, and a water bottle, and snuck out. He followed the service tunnels until he reached a blocked passage. The sign read, Danger, collapsed zone, no entry. Rayn didn't care. He used the knife to pry open the seal and crawled through the narrow crack. Dust filled his lungs. It was hot. The tunnel was steep. But something inside him pushed forward. He finally came to a cave, and there, hidden behind thick vines and rubble, was a large metallic door with glowing ancient runes. It pulsed, once, as if it had sensed him. Rayn's eyes widened. He whispered, "What is this?" The door hissed slightly, almost like it was breathing. The buried ship, the ancient, door stood before Rayn like a sleeping beast. Vines twisted around its edges, glowing symbols carved into the metal like forgotten language. The cave was silent. Too silent. Even his own breathing sounded loud in the cold underground chamber. He stepped closer. As his hand moved toward the door, the glowing runes flickered. A low hum filled the air. The door recognized him. Then, it opened. A sharp burst of stale air hit his face. Dust poured out like fog. Rayn coughed, waving it away as the doorway revealed a long, dark hallway leading inside the ship. The floor was made of a strange black crystal, and the walls had lines of glowing green and gold that pulsed slowly, like veins. He entered. Rayn walked carefully, every footstep echoing. He held his light high, but even without it, the hallway glowed faintly. Strange shapes were etched into the walls. Warriors with wings, beasts with too many eyes, and stars breaking apart. "This isn't just a ship," he whispered. "It's a grave." He passed shattered pods, maybe for sleeping. One had a long dead skeleton, its bones shaped like no alien Rayn had ever seen. Tall, thin, 6-fingered hands. Then came the weapons room. Most racks were empty, but one corner had a broken energy lance, its handle rusted but still humming faintly. He reached out to touch it, but a soft voice echoed in his head. "Unworthy." Rayn jumped back, his heart racing. He looked around, but there was no one. Then, the ship spoke again, not the weapon, follow the light. A soft blue glow appeared down a hallway to the right. Rayn followed. The hallway narrowed, then opened into a wide chamber that looked like a throne room. But instead of a throne, in the center floated a suit of armor, dark silver with faint, golden lines running across it like rivers. It didn't hang from wires or sit on a stand. It floated midair, completely still. Rayn couldn't breathe. It was beautiful and terrifying. Around the room were carvings of war, armies crushed under one warrior's feet, ships burning in space, planets breaking apart from a single blow. But in every image, the same armor was there. He stepped closer. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. Suddenly, the room lit up with energy. The armor reacted to his presence. Pieces moved slightly, like it was waking from a long sleep. A deep, mechanical voice echoed in the chamber. "You are not of the blood." Rayn froze. "You are not of the time." He took a step back, suddenly afraid. "And yet, you carry the fire." The armor dropped to the floor with a metallic thud. Rayn gasped. Then slowly it rose again, this time piece by piece, flying toward him. "No, wait!" he shouted, too late. The first piece locked onto his chest, then shoulders, then legs. The metal didn't just attach, it melted into place, forming around him like it had known him forever. Rayn fell to his knees as the helmet closed around his head. His vision turned black. Then came light. He saw stars, dying suns, ancient battles, planets falling to darkness. The memories of the armor's past users flooded his mind. Then came a voice. "Vorta, activated," Rayn gasped. "Who are you?" "I am the last guardian of the Arkborn. You are my new bearer." "I'm just a human," Rayn said. "I'm not special. And that is why you were chosen. Humility is power." Rayn slowly stood. The armor moved with him like it was part of his body. He felt strong, fast, unbreakable. He looked at his hands, no longer trembling. The suit shimmered with ancient energy. He wasn't the same boy who was laughed at. Suddenly, the ship trembled. Warning. Unauthorized scan detected. Rayn looked at the ceiling. Someone, or something, knew he was here. He ran back through the hallways, armor humming softly with each step. As he reached the cave entrance, The old door began to seal behind him. He turned back one last time and whispered, "I'll return." Then, he disappeared into the shadows, his armor hidden under a cloak. But something had changed forever. Rayn was no longer just a human. He was the one they would soon fear. The awakening. Rayn didn't sleep that night. How could he? He sat in the shadows of the Academy's old dorm storeroom, armor hidden beneath a torn worker's robe. His heart was still racing. The ancient voice, the weightless power in his limbs, it all felt like a dream. But it wasn't. His reflection in the broken glass showed something real. Glowing gold lines crawling under his skin, softly pulsing with alien energy. The armor had fused with him. Not like clothing or armor plates. It had bonded as if it had waited thousands of years only for him. Why him? He was a weak human, the bottom of the Academy ranks. He couldn't even lift a training shield without trembling. But now, he clenched his fist. The armor responded, covering his arm with smooth, liquid-like metal. With just a thought, his fingers could become blades, his palm a plasma cannon. It felt natural, like breathing. At dawn, the Academy buzzed with excitement. A flyer blinked across every holo screen. Announcement: Galaxy Combat Trials. Begin in 3 days. Champions will rise. Honor and titles await. Rayn read it twice. This was his chance. Not just to prove himself, but to prove humans could be more than a joke. But something inside whispered, this isn't just about winning. He remembered what Vorta, the armor's AI, had said before going silent. Your galaxy has forgotten balance. The trial will awaken more than just warriors. Later that day, Rayn snuck to the edge of the Academy's ruins where broken training bots were dumped. He needed to test the armor safely without anyone watching. He reached out. Thump. A dead bot flew into his hand with a sudden magnetic pull. He didn't even strain. His strength had multiplied. He faced another droid. With a thought, his arm shifted into a sleek cannon, a soft glow built inside it. Zerm. Boom. The bot exploded into sparks. Rayn stepped back in shock. He hadn't meant to fire. He had only imagined it. The armor wasn't just responding, it was thinking with him. That night, while other students partied and laughed in the dining hall, Rayn walked silently through the rain, his hood low. He passed a group of alien cadets. Look who's still here, one of them sneered. A hulking reptilian soldier. Didn't fall into a trash pit yet, human? Rayn didn't answer. Another spat at the ground. Run along, monkey. But this time, Rayn didn't flinch. The armor beneath his clothes pulsed gently, calming him. He just walked away. But one thing had changed. He no longer felt weak. Inside his room, he sat cross-legged on the floor, focused. Vorta, he whispered. Can you hear me? Silence. Then, a soft hum in his mind. Present. I need to understand you. Access granted. Limited awakening. Full systems locked until combat rank achieved. Rayn blinked. Combat rank? You mean, I have to fight? To evolve the bond. To unlock what sleeps within. The trials are the path. Rayn took a deep breath. Then I'll enter. 3 days passed. The arena was massive, stone walls fused with glowing tech, rising hundreds of feet. Spectators from across the galaxy filled the seats, chanting, buzzing, roaring. Rayn stood in the contestant line, disguised in simple clothes. His name flashed on the bracket. Round 1, Rayn Carter, human, versus Kravtor, Gorax. Gasps followed. Some even laughed. Another human dare to die on stage, someone said. 10 seconds. That's how long he'll last. Rayn stepped into the sand. Across from him, his opponent, Kravtor, flexed 4 massive arms, each bigger than Rayn's chest. Hope you said your prayers, Earth scum, the beast snarled. Rayn didn't. Speak. The bell rang. Kravtor charged like a tank, roaring, just as the claws were about to crush him. Shink. The armor awakened. Gold light exploded from Rayn's body, covering him head to toe in shimmering plates. The crowd screamed. Kravtor froze mid-attack. "What is that?" Rayn moved faster than he thought possible, dodging, sliding, striking. One. Hit two slam, the giant fell, the arena was silent. Then came the first whisper. "Is that the armor of the ancients?" Rayn stood still in the sand, armor humming softly. The judges looked at each other, stunned. And far above, in a private booth, a shadowy alien overlord narrowed his eyes. "He found it," the alien said. "Activate the observers. We must learn if the human is just lucky or dangerous." Rayn walked out of the arena. He didn't smile, but deep inside the fire had fully awakened, and now the galaxy would feel it. The Tournament of Stars. The stars over planet Xeron burned brighter than usual that night, as if the galaxy itself had turned to watch the tournament. But Rayn didn't look up. He sat alone in the underground chamber, where he had first found the armor. He wasn't here to hide. He was here to remember. Remember who he was before this. Just a boy, mocked, alone, forgotten. And now, his name was being whispered across the stars. But Rayn didn't want to be a hero. He just didn't want to be nothing. Behind him, the armor sat in standby, floating in pieces, waiting. Vorta's voice echoed softly in his mind. "Do not fear the rising light. Fear the shadows it reveals." Rayn closed his eyes. "I'm ready," he whispered. The next morning, the great arena glowed with banners from 100 alien civilizations. Cameras floated above. Traders sold snacks that hissed and bubbled. Spectators waved glowing flags, and children wore toy versions of their species' warriors. In the center of it all, a hologram of Rayn's last match played on loop. "Human defeats Gorax in under 10 seconds. People laughed less now. Some still called it luck. Others whispered darkly. But many watched the screen in silence, wondering, "What is that armor?" Backstage, Rayn stood in a long hallway with other fighters, elite champions, muscular beasts, glowing beings of light, machines shaped like gods. One by one, names were called. Cheers. Music. Fireworks. Then, "Rayn Carter, Terran combatant. Please report to Gate 4. He walked slowly. Some turned to look. Others stepped. Aside, not mocking, just curious. A few looked afraid. At the gate, a large alien with tentacles for a mouth leaned down. "Hey, human," it rumbled. "Don't die too quickly. I bet credits on your third round." Rayn nodded once, serious. "You'll get your money." The gate opened. The sand of the new arena was black, volcanic, rough, hot. The sun overhead cast long shadows. Across from him stood his opponent, a blue-skinned, armored warrior with glowing red eyes. Her name was Velna, a champion from the Flame Sector. She had never lost. She drew her twin energy blades and pointed one at Rayn. "You wear a dead god's armor," she said. "It will not save you." Rayn said nothing. The match began. Velna attacked fast, her blades a blur. Rayn dodged left, ducked low, twisted under a strike. He felt her power, her skill, but he also felt the armor moving with him like a second skin. His counterstrike wasn't just fast, it was perfect. A burst of energy struck her square in the chest, knocking her back. She rolled, came up, smiled. "Good. You're not a ghost, you're real." She came harder, faster. Rayn blocked, stepped in, blasted her leg, disarmed one blade. Then, he stopped. She was down. He could win, but instead of finishing it, he stepped back and let her rise. The crowd. Velna stood stunned. "Why didn't you strike?" Rayn's voice was calm. "Because I fight to prove myself, not to break others." She stared at him. Then she bowed, a deep, respectful bow. "I yield." Silence. Then the crowd erupted. Cheers, cries, flags waving. The human shows honor. "He fights like the ancients." The human rises. Back in the warrior rest hall, Rayn sat drinking water quietly. Across the room, Velna stood beside other champions, speaking in hushed tones. One tall alien with a cracked helmet asked, "What is he?" Velna looked at them all. "He's not what we thought. He's more. He fights for something deeper." Far above, in a floating observation station, a cloaked figure stood before a glowing monitor. "He has activated Stage 2 of the armor," the figure said. Behind him, several high-level officials of the Galactic Council stood in silence. "This human may disturb the balance," one whispered. "Should we stop him?" asked another. The cloaked one raised a hand. "Not yet. Let him climb. The higher he rises, the further he will fall." Back in his room, Rayn removed the armor piece by piece. His body was sore, but something inside him felt lighter. Vorta's voice returned. "She saw you, Rayn. And through her, others will too. The stars are watching, and so are the old enemies." Rayn leaned back on his bed, looking at the ceiling. He had no idea how deep this tournament really went. But he knew one thing. He was not alone anymore. The Empire's interest. The rain on planet Xeron was acid gray, harmless to most alien skin, but to Rayn it stung. He didn't mind. It reminded him that he was still human. He stood on a high platform overlooking the training grounds, his cloak, soaked through, the golden shimmer of the hidden armor faint beneath the fabric. Far below, warriors trained with weapons that hissed and sparked, but Rayn wasn't watching them. He was being watched. He could feel it, behind the clouds. In the shadows, in the silence between steps, someone, something, had turned its eye toward him. And it wasn't just the crowd anymore. In a golden hall far above the arena, high above the public viewing zones, a private chamber filled with the galaxy's elite, buzzed with tension. Admiral Draxon of the Imperial Corps stood before a giant hologram showing Rayn's second match. He fights with controlled power and restraint. A general with 3 cybernetic eyes grunted. "The armor chose him. That cannot be allowed." "Agreed," said a hooded noble from the Ice Clans. "That armor is a relic of balance. If it bonds too deeply, he may become unstoppable." Draxon nodded slowly. "We offer him a choice. If he refuses, we make an example of him." That night, as Rayn returned to his room, a message was waiting for him. Not on his datapad, not in the system, a real envelope, old-fashioned, black, sealed with silver wax. He opened it. Inside was a single line written in perfect Galactic common. "Come alone. Level 13. You are invited. No name, no threat. Just a summons." Rayn held the note tightly. He already knew. This wasn't from the Academy. This was higher. The path to level 13 wasn't on any map. Rayn had to find an old service elevator hidden, behind storage tanks. The ride down was silent. The light flickered. Dust danced in the stale air. When the doors opened, it felt like he had entered another world. Golden pillars, marble floors. Alien guards in black and red armor stood silently along the walls. In the center of the room, a figure waited. Tall, well-dressed, skin like polished obsidian, eyes glowing. "Green, I am Director Keval of the Imperial Intelligence Corps," he said. Rayn didn't speak. He just watched. Keval smiled slightly. "You are cautious. Good. That is rare in humans." He gestured to a table with a glowing case. Inside were riches, credits, gems, even a golden keycard to a private moon estate. "Withdraw from the tournament. Return to Earth with honor and power." Rayn looked at the case. "And if I say no?" Keval's smile faded. "Then I advise you to sleep lightly." Back in his quarters, Rayn sat silently for hours. He wasn't afraid of Keval, but he knew what came next. Vorta spoke inside his mind. "You have crossed into their attention. They will now test your soul, not just your strength." Rayn whispered, "Why are they so afraid?" "Because deep in their bones, they remember the ancients and they fear you might wake them again." 2 days later, in the third match of the tournament, Rayn faced a warrior known as Tharmok, a bioengineered monster created in an Imperial lab. The creature stood 3 meters tall, skin like stone, no emotion, no mercy. As the match began, Rayn felt something strange. His armor responded slower than usual. He dodged an early strike, but barely. His counterblast fizzled out halfway. "What's wrong?" he whispered. "Armor sensors jammed," Vorta answered. "External interference detected. Sabotage in the arena grid." Rayn clenched his jaw. The Empire was already acting. But even weakened, he wouldn't give up. He let the armor flow into defense mode, taking hits, absorbing energy. When the moment was right, he redirected the stolen energy into his gauntlets. Crack, boom. The blast sent Tharmok flying out of the ring. The crowd went wild. But behind the cheers, Rayn looked straight at the Imperial box and nodded once. He knew. They knew. The game had changed. That night, Rayn found a small package under his door. Inside, a photo, his sister back on Earth, his home, his mother's hospital, and one final note. "Last chance, human." Rayn's hands trembled, but he didn't tear the photo. He folded it gently, placed it into his armor's core pocket, and said aloud, "I don't run," and the stars heard him. Rise of the Human. The night before the semi-final match, the stars vanished. It wasn't a weather shift. It wasn't the artificial light grid. It was a warship. A massive Imperial dreadnought hovered above the Academy grounds, its black shape swallowing the sky. No weapons fired, no alarms blared. It just waited, like a predator watching its prey. Rayn stood on the training balcony watching the ship in silence. He knew it wasn't here for the crowd, it was here for him. Down below, whispers flew like wind. "Why's the Empire here? Someone big must be fighting tomorrow." Maybe. The human? Inside the elite fighter wing, the tension was thick. Champions who once ignored Rayn now kept their distance. Some gave nods of respect. Others avoided his eyes. Only one approached, Velna, the warrior he'd spared before. "They're scared of you," she said quietly. "They don't understand what you are." "I don't either," Rayn replied. "Maybe that's what makes you dangerous." In his chamber, Rayn sat cross-legged, armor floating around him in silent orbit. Vorta's voice was calm, but firm. "Tomorrow the Council intends to test you beyond the arena. Watch for hidden hands." "Let them come," Rayn whispered. "I'm not playing their game anymore." He inserted the photo of his family into the core again. The image pulsed gently inside the suit. "They're why I fight. Not for glory. Not for revenge." The semi-final arena was unlike any before. No audience, no cheers, just silence. A walled battlefield surrounded by high-tech towers and sensor drones. Rayn's opponent stood at the far end, Zyrtok, a mind-walker from the void moons. Slender, pale, with 6 fingers on each hand and black liquid eyes. No weapons, no armor, just presence. The announcer's voice echoed coldly. "Match, human Rayn Carter versus Voidmaster Zyrtok. Begin." Zyrtok didn't move, but Rayn suddenly staggered. Pain exploded in his head. "Mental attack." Vorta's voice barked in his mind. "Mind infiltration in progress. Defense grid activating. Hold still." Rayn fell to one knee. Images flooded his vision. Burning Earth cities, his mother's scream, his sister lost in space, the armor turning against him. None of it real. But it felt real. Rayn gritted his teeth. He focused on one thing, the real thing, his promise. "I don't run," he screamed, and the armor surged. Flash, boom! A shockwave of golden energy exploded from his chest, shattering the illusion. Zyrtok gasped, falling backward. Rayn stood tall, eyes burning like suns. "I don't break," he said. Zyrtok rose shakily, blood on his lip. "You saw your worst fears, and you survived." He bowed deeply. "I yield." High above, the Imperial Watchers stood in stunned silence. He hadn't just won, he had resisted a Void Master, unheard of, unbelievable, unacceptable. The very next hour, as Rayn walked through the silent corridors back to his quarters, the lights flickered. Then everything went black. A blade flashed. He ducked, rolled. A masked assassin lunged. Rayn activated the armor mid-move. Metal flashed over his skin, deflecting the blade. He countered with a magnetic punch. Crack, the assassin hit the wall and crumpled. Rayn walked over and tore off the mask. Not an enemy soldier, an Imperial agent. He looked into the camera hidden in the corner of the hallway. "You think I don't see you?" he shouted. "You hide behind shadows." He pulled the agent's ID chip from the body and threw it at the lens. "I'm not hiding anymore." Hours later, his image spread across galactic media. Human Rayn survives mental assault, defeats, assassin in same day. Who is this Terran warrior? Ancient armor, human soul, unstoppable force? Children across space began wearing toy versions of his armor. Aliens who once mocked Earth, now watched carefully. And the people back home? They were cheering his name. In the high tower of the Empire's command ship, Director Caval watched, in silence. "He does not bow," he said coldly. A voice behind him replied, "Then he will be buried." Caval smiled. "Let him rise. Let the galaxy fall in love with him. In the final match, we break them both." Rayn stood beneath the stars again, but this time he didn't feel small. He felt seen. He felt ready. "Let them come," he whispered, and the armor whispered back, "Rise, bearer of fire. One more step and the storm begins." The final battle. The entire galaxy held its breath. From the frost moons of Ralkar to the fire planets of Jundari, beings of every species gathered around screens, crystals, and neural links. Even on Earth, long forgotten in the galactic map, people stayed awake through the night to watch the moment that would change everything, the final match. A human, once mocked, once weak, was now standing in the center of the galaxy's greatest tournament. But Rayn Carter knew this wasn't just a fight. It was a message. The arena was unlike any before, a floating platform in space with stars shining in all directions. There were no walls, no crowd seats, just endless dark sky and glowing energy rings circling the stage. And hovering above the arena was the Empire's dreadnought, its weapons charged, shields up, watching silently. Rayn arrived first. His armor gleamed brighter than ever, reshaped by his victories. Ancient golden lines across his arms pulsed like veins of light. Vorta spoke inside his mind. "The final challenge approaches. But know this, Rayn. This match is not just seen, it is recorded forever." Rayn nodded. "Then let them remember who we are." The air shifted. A beam of blue lightning slammed into the stage. From it rose his opponent, Valrix, the Emperor's champion. Tall, covered in a full black exosuit made from voidstone, his face hidden by a mask that glowed red. He had no name, no past. He was born to win. Rayn had heard the stories. Valrix was unbeaten, and worse, he wasn't here just to fight. He was here to eliminate the threat. A voice echoed across the galaxy. "Final match, Rayn Carter, human of Earth, versus Valrix, champion of the Empire. Begin." No music, no fanfare, just silence. Then, boom. Valrix struck first, a thunder punch that cracked the air. Rayn barely blocked it. The force sent him flying backward. He rolled and came up, his armor shielding him from the worst. He countered with a twin plasma blast. Valrix caught both in his hand and crushed them. He was faster, stronger. And Rayn knew this wasn't just a warrior. It was a weapon. The battle lit up the sky. Blow after blow, strike after strike. Fists, energy, teleportation, magnetic waves. They moved faster than most species could even see. Rayn gave everything. But slowly, cracks appeared in his armor. His strength faded. Valrix wasn't tiring. And then, the Emperor gave the silent signal. High above, the dreadnought's weapons turned, locked on Rayn. This wasn't a match. It was an execution. Suddenly, Valrix grabbed Rayn and slammed him, down with enough force to break the stage. Rayn's helmet cracked. Blood touched his lip. "You don't belong here," Valrix said quietly. "You were never meant to rise." Rayn looked up, dazed, and smiled. "You're wrong." He reached into his chest armor and pulled out the photo. His family. His reason. "I fight for them." The armor began to glow, not just gold, but white-hot energy. Vorta's voice returned, louder than ever. Final bond achieved, soul and armor unified. Ancient protocol, Fireheart, unleashed. Rayn stood, and the galaxy saw it. Wings of burning light exploded from his back. Every movement now carried storms. Valrix struck again, but Rayn caught the blow mid-air and broke it with a thought. Rayn rose higher into the sky. His voice carried across space. "You mocked my people, you tried to erase me, but I'm still here." He flew forward, faster than light, and punched Valrix out of the arena in a single blinding blast. Silence. Then, the stars themselves seemed to cheer. Across planets, across races, millions stood and clapped, screamed, cried. The human had won. Not just the match, but the galaxy's respect. The Empire didn't fire. They couldn't. Their champion was broken. Their fear had become reality, and their silence was their defeat. Later, in the Victory Hall, Rayn stood before the Galactic Council. They offered him a seat, a title, a command over fleets. He looked at them and said, "I don't want power. I want peace. Let humans live in the light, not under shadows." And he left. Back on Earth, Rayn visited his mother's grave. Alone. He placed the photo down. No armor, no cameras, just a son and a promise kept. "I made them see us," he whispered. A breeze passed gently, and for once, he felt home.